Hello everyone, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Ultimate General Civil War. We've just fought the Battle of Fredericksburg on our last video. We just completed trouncing the Confederate Army at Fredericksburg. We lost very heavy casualties, over 16,000 infantry, almost one-fourth of our entire force were casualties in that battle. It was a bloody affair, largely taken up by our 3rd Corps, which was absolutely mauled. The Confederates, however, ended up worse. They had about 37,000 men on the field. They lost 21,000 infantry. Almost two-thirds of their infantry was destroyed. Almost half of their cavalry was destroyed. Better than half of their artillery was destroyed. In addition to that, another 1,600 soldiers missing. So while we lost heavily and can barely replace our losses with our manpower pool, I imagine with the new manpower, sort of the way the game works and the easier difficulties and the way that casualties affect the Confederates moving over, I imagine the Confederate Army will be greatly weakened as a result of this battle. I'm not sure if there are theater distinctions. You would think a victory at Fredericksburg wouldn't have a decisive impact at Stones River, but we'll see. Generally, if we go to the battle map here, you can see here we're now in the Stones River campaign, and we'll click here. You would have some kind of indicator that would say the enemy army is weaker because of a previous defeat. However, I don't see anything that looks like Fredericksburg ties over to Stones River, so it may not. That'll be kind of interesting. Again, Parkers Crossroads, similarly, the minor battle that takes place before Stones River also does not appear to have any kind of benefit for us winning at Fredericksburg, so we'll see. With that being said, we've got to go ahead and rebuild our army first. I think the first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go ahead and assign my career points. So I want to increase army organization, not because I want to increase my brigades to 2,500 men, or increase the number of divisions in my corps at this time, brigades. It looks like you get 5 brigades per division, which I actually already have. I'm not sure what this will do. We'll go ahead and kick it up. You can see here, okay, so it increases the number of divisions you can have. Although I don't see that being the case. I don't see the option to add a 3rd division. That's interesting. You can have up to 4 divisions in a corps, but apparently you can't have up to 4 divisions in a corps. I don't quite understand that. And maybe I need a lieutenant general in command of a corps to add a 4th division, because it says I can have 4 divisions now, but it didn't really have an impact there. So, oh, that's because I didn't apply it. Duh. We'll go ahead and do that. We'll apply that. We'll go over here and we'll see. Now we can go ahead and add a 4th division. I'm not going to do that right this moment. My main goal is to get the army to have 4 corps. So you can see here, even another army organization will just increase the brigade size. But I'm not going with that right away. So I'm going to kind of build myself up to that. I need to make sure the army is larger by the time we get to the Battle of Gettysburg, especially. Chancellorsville might be manageable with 3 corps, but I have a feeling Gettysburg will require 4 to be able to fight. So we'll wait on that. We're going to go ahead and add 1 more to politics, however, so we get more gold and more recruit. Well, maybe we go with economy. Economy gives us a discount on weapons. Politics gives us more gold and recruits between turns. I think we'll go with politics here. So we're kind of increasing our politics there. We've got a good, strong training regimen. We're not using veterans a whole lot, so I kind of feel like I wasted training a bit. But it is what it is. In our last fight, we just won the Union Officer Medal for gallantry or whatever, blah, 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 blah. And there is our current reputation sitting at 73. We gained 30 reputation back, or was it 20, as a result of our last victory. That gives us 53 to spend if we want. We could use it on some more 1861 Springfields, which are very fine weapons. We could use it on some more general officers, which we certainly don't have enough of. Or we could use it on recruits or money. We'll wait to see where we're at after we replenish some of our forces before we spend any of it. We don't have to spend it either, this battle. We want to spend it before Stones River because we'll get a 20, well, maybe not even. We could get away with doing Parkers Crossroads and Stones River and still not hit our maximum reputation if we win both those battles. So there's no pressing reason to spend it unless we really feel like we need that additional money. Parkers Crossroads is the next battle, but let's go ahead and get back to repairing our army after its heavy casualties. So the 1st Corps was the 2nd most heavily engaged corps. The 2nd really is in pretty darn good shape here. If you look through here, you see a couple of brigades that got beat up. Ector's brigade, for example, got really beat up. Burnside's brigade got really beat up. But Henry, Kelly, and Carroll basically weren't engaged. We go to the 1st Corps. They're the 2nd most beat up. The 3rd Corps, good God, just look at all of this death and destruction visited on this corps. You know, we've got what, 6 brigades without commanders. We've got a division without a commander. The first corps has all of its division commanders. The second corps lost a division commander, but the third corps is a shattered hulk of a unit. These guys were the rookies. These guys were the ones tasked with going up Mary's Heights. We launched a flanking maneuver, so we were able to successfully outflank the Confederates and deal them a devastating blow, but nonetheless, these are, we still lost very heavily in this particular battle, and I don't think it makes sense to give anything but rookies to these units because they're already relatively low experience. Okay, with that being said, let's go ahead to the 2nd Iron Brigade. We're going to use veterans on this guy because he's just, it's inexpensive to replace his losses. We're going to do the same thing for Crocker's Brigade, which is another elite brigade. Buckley's Brigade also is in pretty good shape, so we'll do the same thing for them. They're a little bit more expensive at 6,500, but nonetheless, we'll go ahead and equip them with veterans. We're going to do the same thing with Harris's Brigade. Again, these 5,000 5,000 expense brigades to get them back up to full strength. I'm fine doing that. I want to make sure we have an elite corps in our army that we can use in any kind of tough situation. So that's kind of what I'm using this first corps for. They're basically our old guard of a corps. So we're just kind of going through here and issuing reinforcements. I don't think I can justify $17,000 to build back Pettit's force, but I'm also not gonna. Well, actually, that's a pretty big hit. We'll do it like halfway. So we'll go like this with veterans. We'll spend, say, 8,000 on veterans. Then we'll go ahead and give the remaining 300 as rookies. It insulates you a bit from that hit. You still have a pretty good base to go from. The Springfields Brigade, we're not going to be able to fully re-equip anyway, so we're going to go with veterans because these guys are equipped with 1861 Springfields, which we currently don't have available in shop. I don't think, for whatever reason, they're not available to us to buy yet in game. So we only have 262 of these that we recovered from the field of battle, which is insufficient to replace our casualties. But this brigade is so good. These guys are the old guard of our first corps even. So I'm going to go ahead and justify the $18,000 to give them all veteran bonuses and recruit them. We'll still have a 1,700-man brigade, but it won't be fully filled out unless I turn around and buy more Springfields, but I don't think I'm going to do that. Meanwhile, the Winfield Hancock is commanding the Irish Brigade. We'll go with all veterans there, too. So there you can see here we've rebuilt the first corps in its entirety. Well, actually, no, we still got Caldwell's Brigade. These guys aren't that experienced, so we're going to go with rookies here. So there you go. The first corps is rebuilt, minus some promotions, which we'll come back to in a minute, and it's built back up to the best of its ability. Meanwhile, Burnside's Brigade, this corps, the second corps, as much as it is kind of our second most experienced corps, and it does have some very good units, we're just going to go with all rookies in these. Some of the brigades got hit pretty hard. Most of them didn't get hit too hard, and their experience just isn't high enough to justify the cost that veterans would incur on them. So we'll go ahead and just get these guys all kind of bumped up and to full replacement status. And I think that does it for them. We got to go ahead and put the artillery back in place. I'm going to keep veterans for the artillery batteries, though. They lose efficiency pretty quick, and there were only a couple of guns to replace there. Third Corps, boy, oh boy. Yeah, all right, so this corps, I don't even know where to begin. Again, these guys are inexperienced, so we're just going to go with all rookies anyway. We're going to have to pay some because we don't have, for example, Lorenz's, we don't have enough weapons in supply. We've got to buy more, so that you saw that cost us $15,000. Most of these guns, actually, we have a fair amount in stockpile. Let's actually wait on Crocker's Brigade. I don't know if I want to give him Palmettos. We've got to buy almost all new 1855 Springfields for Carr's Brigade. That's expensive. This brigade's just got 1842s, so they're cheap. Some of these units are still using the 1842 smoothbore weapon, which is not very good, but we've got a whole bunch of in stockpile, so we can get a lot of them for free. Okay, and there you go. So manpower-wise, the corps is rebuilt. Again, we're going to go with veterans on the guns. We've got some guns in reserve, so we'll look at expanding the size of our force shortly. But I want to get everybody back to at least 16 guns, which is kind of the minimum battery that I like to carry around. Okay, with that being said, let's go ahead and issue our kind of promotional awards. You can see Brooks' artillery battery, he was promoted to lieutenant colonel, so now they have a trait that you can give them. Artillery, I pretty much always go with logistics. It makes them more efficient and also gives them a lot more ammunition. Efficiency gets to like how accurate they are at shooting and how rapidly they can reload their guns, I believe. Or just sort of general overall performance. Foreman's Brigade, I pretty much always go with the infantry with discipline. It gives them additional morale, but it also gives them increased efficiency. To me, that seems to be the best option. You could go with endurance, which gives them more stamina and makes them faster, but I personally think the efficiency is more important and the morale is more important, especially when you're often going against more experienced Confederate forces that you want to make sure you can go toe-to-toe with without retreating, and morale is really important there. So we're going to do the same for all of these other brigades. We're going to give them all the same discipline. I believe it's discipline. Or yeah, discipline training. And we'll do the same for the artillery, giving them the efficiency bonus and ammunition bonus. And that's just about everybody. We got to do Crocker as well. Okay, so with that being said, now we've got some officers we need to put into commands. So the 3rd Division is the first divisional unit without a commander. Do we have any major generals? We do not. No major generals are unemployed at the moment. The good thing is we have quite a few major generals who are commanding brigades. So, for example, Troy Webb is commanding a brigade in the 2nd Division. There's no reason he should be commanding a brigade. He should be a division commander. So we'll replace him with William Sherman, and then we'll go ahead and put Troy Webb in command of the 3rd Division. There you go. We're going to have to replace one more division commander, so I'm actually going to go over to, let's see here, our only other major general commanding a brigade is the Springfield Brigade under Lewis Wagner. We'll go ahead and replace him, but I want to have at least a brigadier in charge there, so I'm actually going to use a little bit of reputation here to hire Philip Sheridan. Philip Sheridan, the famous cavalry officer under General Grant. He kind of had that charge on Missionary Ridge in the Battle of Chattanooga, in which he kind of hopped, or he was next to someone who hopped on top of a cannon and kind of burned their butt on a cannon that had been firing. And then also of Shenandoah Valley campaign fame. So we'll go ahead and put him in command of the Springfield Brigade. And then we're going to go ahead and take that Major General we just liberated, Major General Lewis Wagner, and put him in command of the 3rd Division in the 3rd Corps. All right, so the 1st and 2nd Corps are fully rebuilt now. We used a little bit of reputation, 5 reputation to buy a commander. I think we're actually going to go ahead and use, well, yeah, we're going to buy William Rosecrans, who was an Army commander in the West. We're going to go ahead and have him replace Adam Bass as commander of the 2nd Division in the 3rd Corps. That'll free us up with another major general to be in command of a brigade. Adam Bass will now command Bass's brigade, go figure. And, you know, we're using a little bit of reputation, but having officers of effective rank is really important in a unit's ability to fight effectively. So that frees up a brigadier general to take command of a brigade. We'll go ahead and put a colonel in charge of Ector's brigade. And you can see here there's no efficiency bonus for having a colonel in charge of a 2,000-man brigade. There is a little bit of an efficiency bonus to have a colonel in command of a brigadier general in command of a 2,000-man brigade. If you go with a lieutenant commander or lieutenant colonel in charge of a force that large, you actually have a slight penalty, I believe. Well, maybe not. Lieutenant colonel apparently gets away without a penalty, but you certainly can't have a major in charge. So that'll be an issue here shortly. You can see here we've got a couple of full bird colonels, Stark, for example, that we can assign. But we don't have... We're short 2 commanders. If we go into our barracks, you'll see here we've got a lot of commanders. There's just a lot of guys who are wounded. Sedgwick was wounded. Alfred Pleasanton was wounded. Schlefling, I love saying his name, was wounded. And then several colonels were all wounded as well. But they're going to be out of commission for this entire campaign. So we're going to have to figure out what we can do. We can't even go and hire new ones. You can see here there's no new ones to hire with reputation. So we could hire some with money, and we do have over $100,000. So we're going to go hire a few colonels here to be in charge of these units and spend some money in favor of hiring some colonels. So we went with a lieutenant colonel and a full bird. I think one of those gets a discipline command. So the 3rd Corps is starting to need a little bit more experience, but they got shattered so badly in that last battle that they're really back to being really green. The Second Corps is kind of in a middling status of good quality troops, but probably not as good as the Confederates. And the First Corps is crack, absolutely crack, especially that First Division, which I think could go toe-to-toe with anything the Confederates can bring to bear. And we still have $129,000. We have 2,900 recruits. I'm not going to raise a new division in any of these forces. I wouldn't be able to bring it to bear anyway, at least not before Stones River. So we'll hold off on doing that. What battle? Parkers Crossroads. Is that an offensive or defensive battle? Let's see if we can see here. It'll kind of influence my decision. So it looks like it's a defensive engagement. So we're transporting precious ammunition and weapons supplies to our army operating in the Tennessee region. We established a temporary supply station at Parker's Farm. We're going to meet with the rest of our brigades, and then we'll have to head to Nashville to prepare our offensive in the Western Theater. So intelligence says the enemy has about 10,000 men. We can bring 10 brigades to bear, so we could outnumber them 2-to-1 if we bring all infantry. Probably won't do that, but again, we'll be on the defensive, which is going to be good. As far as maintaining our force and not losing too many casualties. At least that's my thought. It also looks like it's heavily wooded terrain. So I'm tempted to bring our First Corps of veterans to play either that or the First or the Second Corps. I don't think we're going to use the Third Corps there. Now, if we win that battle, we will get what in terms? We'll get $92,000 and 4,100 more recruits. So... Let's build up our artillery a bit here. We don't have any guys with Wadsworth rifles or anything super advanced. You can see here we don't have any 20-pound Parrots, no 24-pound howitzers, no 14-pound Jameses or Whitworth guns. But we do have some howitzers in stock. You can see we've got 4 in the armory. So we can go ahead and increase the number of guns. We'll just actually max it out. We'll just go ahead and buy a full battery, 24 guns. You can see here, I think there's a slight efficiency penalty because the officer rank is too low for a battery of that size, but it is what it is. We don't have to worry about it with a brigadier general, so we'll go ahead and buy a full battery of ordnance rifles. And we'll have that same issue here with lieutenant colonels, but I think the additional 8 guns will be overriding the slight hit inefficiency. So there you go, spending our money getting full batteries of artillery here. The Second Corps, they're all 16-gun batteries. We do have enough artillery in stockpile to do this, and we are using veterans. This may be a mistake, but I really want to keep those efficiency gains that we have, so we're going to go with that. These are expensive guns. Jeez. Napoleons are not cheap, especially with veteran soldiers. You can see we're spending almost all of our money building our batteries up. And we'll just go with rookies for this particular brigade because they're so inexperienced to begin with. You can see we get actually a pretty heavy penalty there. So this is, again, this is more of a long-term strategic play that I'm doing by building these batteries up. And actually, I think I've got some weapons I can sell too. So I don't think we're going to go with palmettos. We're going to sell all of our palmettos off. The M&J, we've got a couple of units with them, but in general, they're not going to be weapons we're relying on because the only way we can obtain them is capturing them from the Confederates. So we'll sell a few of those. We've got a lot more sharps than we need. We've also got a bunch of sawed-off shotguns. And I don't have any 10-pound Parrott batteries. I don't plan to get any 10-pound Parrott batteries. So we'll go ahead and sell those off as well. That gives us $22,000. That Second Corps, I still have that one brigade, which I need to replace its weapons with. So rather than going with the palmettos, I think we'll just switch it over to the 1842s and then kind of build it out fully, because they're pretty much the same weapon. One's a copy of the other. The Confederates' palmetto is slightly better, but it's marginal. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take those palmettos that we just freed up and we're going to sell them all. So that'll give us $13,000 more. That'll allow me to fill out this last battery of artillery, I think, even with veterans. So we'll go ahead and do that. So there you have it. All of our divisions have a 24-gun battery in them now, so we've got a lot more artillery to go to war with, in addition to having pretty well-equipped soldiers and pretty well-experienced soldiers. So, got 821 men, that's it. We can't obviously build any new units with that, but that's fine for now. Supply, we're probably going to be expanding the force a bit shortly, so I'm actually going to boost supply up to 20,000. Oops. For each corps. It costs 1,000 per 1,000 supplies, but that's going to be important as these battles get bigger. I believe we saw at Fredericksburg, not Fredericksburg, but in Antietam, we had supply wagons running out of ammo, and it was a one-day battle. Keep in mind, when we got things like Gettysburg, which are going to be 3 days long, those supply wagons are going to be critical. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to fight Parker's Crossroads. I could build a 4th division, but again, I don't have any manpower to do it yet. The reason I built or spent money on that army organization was mainly because I want to get to having 4 corps, not so much 4 divisions. So we're going to leave that 4th division blank right now. I don't see the need to have what would amount to be almost a 40,000 man corps if I was to expand the force further, but certainly over 30,000 men. All right, so let's go ahead and advance. We're going to go to Parkers Crossroads. We're going to fight this battle, and we should try and win. Crusader, I don't see the need to invest in skirmishers when I can break skirmishers off for my infantry brigades. Just personally don't really feel like doing that. All right, let's see here. What do we want to use, 1st, 2nd, or 3rd Corps? We'll go with the 1st Corps. We're going to put our veterans in peril and see how they fight. We'll only be able to bring about half the corps to bear, but that's okay. All right, you can see here, this is a little misleading because we can't bring the full force to bear. We're transporting precious ammunition and wagons and weapon supplies to our armies operating in the Tennessee region. We've established a temporary supply station at Parker's Farm in this road junction. Here we'll meet with the rest of our brigades, and then we'll head to Nashville to prepare our offensive in the Western Theater. This is kind of interesting because historically the Union just spent like a month just building up a massive supply depot. They had so many horses and they basically were just kind of sitting place. Rosecrans nearly lost his job for basically doing nothing. Okay, so we have to hold the farm against enemy attack, and we have reinforcements that are going to come in about 2 hours. So we've only got a portion of our force that it looks like we're gonna 4 brigades that are gonna come to our aid. I'm assuming because it says it's a 10 brigade battle, and we've got 4 infantry brigades, 1 artillery battery. That's actually about the right mix. We've got to kind of keep these supply wagons safe. So we'll go ahead and unpause. We're gonna go ahead and get these guys in these defensive positions. I guess I can't order them to go. Oh, yes I can. All right, so we're going to get the Iron Brigade and Buckley's Brigade and Springfield Brigade into defensive positions. We're going to go ahead and get the Irish Brigade to kind of guard this this forward approach, which is a little bit more exposed between these 2 positions. We'll have Crocker kind of in reserve. We'll go ahead and get Harding into the middle, and we'll get the artillery batteries into the middle as well. We'll also, it doesn't really look like supplies are going to be an issue because we've got 25,000 supplies just as part of this base, if you will. All right, so let's go ahead and actually run these guys into position. I don't want to get them too worn out, but I also don't want to get the enemy on us before we have a chance to take up our posts. The other thing by having Crocker here in reserve is he'll actually serve to guard our rear. I don't think any of our guys have Palmettos, guys. These guys all have really good weapons in this. We've got 1861s, 1855s. This is a well-equipped force. Okay. So all of these guys, and then we also have, I don't know how much supply is in here, but we've got 3 supply wagons worth of ammunition. And now we just kind of have to wait for the Confederates to come wherever they're coming. I'm gonna deploy some skirmishers. See where these guys are at. Okay. Play some skirmishers here, get them out. Alright, so we're starting to pick up on where these guys are here a bit. Getting to cover you guys. Kind of put these guys in the middle. This artillery is open up on... I don't want you to shoot at skirmishers. That's kind of wasting your ammunition. What battery? 24 12-pound howitzers. So they're going to be really good in close range. Not great at longer range. Okay, so we've got enemy skirmishers on us. There's kind of a light peppering action at the moment. These entrenchments don't do us a lot of good. The enemy's actually in better defensive terrain in these woods than we are. I just want to let you guys shoot at me without me being able to inflict some damage on you. There you go. Fire into the Kentucky unit's flank. Dismounted cavalrymen spotted where? Kind of on our flank. They'll probably come up our rear. We'll get you back here into the cover. Alright. Trying to use my skirmishers to take some of the casualty, some of the heat off of our infantry. Let's go ahead and retreat the Irish Brigade back a bit. I don't want to have these guys just sitting. These are really good troops. I don't want to just have them sitting, taking casualties to no purpose. Okay. Alright, well, we're just kind of sitting here. They're not really doing too much to hurt us. They've got some artillery kind of going into the flank of our cavalry. They're maneuvering some infantry kind of around us a bit. Alright. Okay, so the enemy is trying to go around the Iron Brigade's flank. Fortunately, I've got Crocker's Brigade here in amazing cover. I'm guessing the enemy didn't gamble on us being there, the AI. But halt you here. And the Iron Brigade can help out as well. Trying to flank us, General. Yes, I know. Alright, there's some cavalry on our flank as well. You know, if they're not going to advance frontally, we can bring the Irish Brigade back a bit. Okay, the Irish Brigade skirmishers are getting chewed up. I'm willing to sacrifice those skirmishers, in all honesty. See if they go after our center. Okay. This is really the first battle I feel like I've seen the enemy use skirmishers effectively. Okay, Crocker's ending up in a melee, but the enemy he's being meleeed with, he outnumbers almost 3 to 1. He's also got the Irish Brigade kind of in his rear, which can fire volleys in. So one of the interesting pieces with the game is that when you're in a melee combat, you can no longer shoot your guns, right? You can only fire when you're not in melee combat, which makes sense. You can't really organize volleys when you're fighting that way. However, one of the... I don't know if it's a flaw, but one of the design decisions is to allow friendly brigades to shoot into a mass of soldiers that are in melee. So basically, if you have soldiers in the front rank that are in melee formation, you can have another brigade sit right behind them and fire volley after volley, and they will not hit any of your own troops, and they will only hit the troops on the bad guy's side at point-blank range who are engaged in, in melee combat. So it's a little bit of a... I don't know if it's a flaw, I don't know if it's intentional. I mean, it's kind of... You know the game, it's something you probably should do, but worth kind of calling out. Okay. Having some cavalry in this battle would have been nice, I guess. Alright, I'm going to disband this Irish Brigade skirmisher unit. They've lost 170 men. I just don't think they're providing much value sitting there, and they're going to die soon anyway. So they'll go back and rejoin the Irish Brigade. Buckley, I think, is still serving some use, taking some of the punishment off the main brigade behind. Looks like enemy cavalry is charging us. Charging the Springfield Brigade, which is in defensive positions. The other thing is when you're in a melee, if you're in a defensive position, like behind a fence or something like that, you can still fire volleys while you're in melee. So that obviously gives the defender a big advantage in that regard. Okay. Alright. Hey, look, Springfield skirmishers. Just sitting back here. Alright, I'm kind of debating trying to destroy these guys now. Smoothbores can be very effective in melee combat. So one of the things that smoothbores have, and the game does, I think, try to model it, is they have what's called buck and ball. So what that basically is it's a single projectile, like a single musket ball, which has several other mini ball, like not mini balls in the way that we think of mini balls when you think of the Civil War, but like miniature shotgun shells, basically, shotgun pellets. So it's basically a full-size round with several other projectiles in there, so you're basically firing a shotgun, which means at close ranges, the smoothbore can be much more effective, actually, than the standard issue rifle. The issue is that's only true at very close ranges, and at anything beyond that, they're at a huge disadvantage. Okay. Alright, so other troops are coming up. Alright, trying to keep them in the open as much as possible, but now we can try and crush the enemy flank with these reserves which are coming up. We're already crushing one flank. You can see 2 volleys here. That enemy brigade just vanished into a puff of smoke. Alright, they're getting into cover. Okay, so the enemy are actually starting to run low on ammo, it appears. Oh, the Irish Brigade. Don't expose your flank like that. Okay, so I think our rear is mostly covered. The enemy does have some cavalry. They may try and charge our skirmishers here. But overall, I think we're in decent shape. Okay, rear flanked. Oh, they're behind us. Okay, Crocker just took some enemy skirmishers captive. Destroy that battery of artillery. Destroy it. There you go. It's gone. It's gone. Harris is flanked in the rear a little bit, but overall he's fine. Alright. So the Irish Brigade is attacking that enemy infantry unit. Actually, it looks like an artillery unit there on the ridge. Crocker is driving back the Confederates here, clearing our line. And we're losing more men than I would like, but overall the battle's going well. And I think Stones River shouldn't be too difficult. Could be wrong, but I fought the battle one other time as the Union. I fought it with the stock manpower, and it wasn't too challenging for the Union for me. It did get kind of turned into a clusterfuck really quick, but we'll see. Okay. Alright, that enemy artillery is running away. Are they going to get one more volley in them? Maybe not. We'll have the Irish chase them. Get out of their supplies. Alright, Irish Brigade, you're going to go back here. Get out of your defensive works and just kind of deal with these guys that are pestering our flank. I'm vacating the west wall. This almost has like a Wild West type of feel to it, given the front line nature here. But I'm vacating it just because the enemy's more or less been broken there. It doesn't seem to be too much of a threat. And we're reducing what's left of these brigades here. Alright. Did these guys really just get driven out of their position? Interesting. The Springfields are driven out by cavalry and skirmishers. That's seems hard to fathom. So our rear is exposed now. Bring GBG, George B. Gamer over here to give the Springfields a little bit of a morale kick. A little bit of a kick in the pants. Alright, so we drove that artillery off. This all appears to be fighting against Nathan Bedford Forrest. Bring these guys south. Skirmishers are being driven. Harris can come up behind the 5th Kentucky. Cavalry's charging through. Get out of there, GBG. Oh my goodness. Man, these enemy artillery or these enemy horsemen are frickin' annoying. Stay over by the infantry, you dumbos. Alright, the 5th Kentucky should be dead in a matter of minutes. Buckley's retreating now too, jeez. You're calling me a butcher? I win glorious victories. Don't question my methods. My officer just get killed? Where did he go? We're wasting those brigades fighting enemy skirmishers. Man, I should have not put my elite troops in this battle. I'm losing a lot more men than I had really wanted to. Or thought I would have to. Alright everybody, that's going to do it for this episode of Ultimate General Civil War. We're closing in on victory here in this minor battle in the lead up to the Battle of Stones River. We're going to win in spite of our own
incompetence. But with that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know we've been really hitting Ultimate General Civil War pretty hard lately. I've got a couple more days in store for this, but I've also got some Battlestar Galactica footage that I'm going to be putting out here shortly. The new game, Battlestar Galactica Deadlock, that's coming out. In addition to that, I am still going to return to my Cold Water series. I've been taking a little bit of sort of a mental break on some of the stuff I've been doing on the channel. I just need a little bit of time to decompress. The Cold Water stuff is really a lot of work when I'm looking at kind of individual subclasses and doing histories of that. I've got a book review as well that I'm going to be doing with Cold Water footage, so I'm definitely going to be returning to that shortly. But I've been not that it's lazy to do Ultimate General Civil War, but I know a lot more about the Civil War than I know about any other conflict, so it's really easy for me to play and talk about it. And frankly, I've just been having a little bit of fun with the last few videos over the last week or so. But we'll be getting back into some more historical discussion as well as a little bit more as this stream kind of wears on, because again, this was taken from a live stream. With that being said, guys, I think it's pretty clear we're going to hang on to our position. The enemy's kind of charging here, but we've just about done it here. We've got them done for. So thanks again for tuning in, everybody. Once again, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I'm out.